Hello all ye faithful, Cream Crazy here, ready to do what should now officially be a Wednesday night tradition. Even though I did miss last week, I managed to get this one to you early so you all can enjoy it sooner than it usually would do. Because ladies and gentlemen, this is the 14th in the news bulletin, of course. The wrestling news bulletin, which I'll give to you. Well, basically, I try every Tuesday, but let's just hope. Not Tuesday, Wednesday. Never mind. I'll try and get this to you when I can, but I'm doing it early because I've got a lot of work to do. So, let's get it on. I've got 12 news stories here. Well, one of them I've decided to remove from this because I, of course, need to use it in a later video. And I mean later, not in a couple of weeks later. I mean a couple of months later. So, if you have an opinion about hearing that piece of news, don't bother putting it in the comments section because it won't turn up. Nonetheless, these 12 pieces of news are quite massive, in my opinion at least. Well, when I say massive, at least most of them are, for the most part. And these all have been compiled since last Wednesday. So if these news stories seem a bit out of date to you, then again, I have to voice my opinion at some point. Let's get on. I think the major point that this story stretched to last week, and to be honest, it's still quite massive to begin with because the shockwaves are still being felt. US prosecutors have arrested a man running 16 websites that were streaming sport events, including WWE, TN and TNA events, which were included along the well-known First Row Sports sites. Which one of them, I believe, livefootballstream.net used to be linked with. I'm not entirely sure at this point. Apparently, WWE were involved in the process that got the guy arrested. Now, I don't know that, unless you looked at NoDQ.com, not many people would have known about that. If you have looked at NoDQ.com, you would have known about this. Let me guess, you probably didn't, but I'll go into the story anyway. A federal agent posed as a WWE employee and phoned the man in question, Yonjo Quiora, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I have no clue, of Comstock Park, Michigan, about buying up some of his associated domain-named websites. When Quiora, I think that's how you say it, responded, the feds managed to track him down and arrest him. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have been against this because it's a way of getting the fans watching the program for less, especially guys in America who I have a lot of sympathy for. However, I realise, the pay-per-views, I mean, in the UK, we don't have to pay too much for them. So, why not? I now have become a person where I'm thinking streaming is bad. It's one of the reasons why WWE have become so fucking desperate to do their storylines in incredibly quick ways. So if you really want to see storylines put out in a normal fashion, don't watch a stream, because WWE will hate on you. And apparently, I've actually heard that people are getting arrested for watching stream sites. And if that's true, then you might think again about doing that. The Miz is being blamed for Survivor Series 2011's low buy rate, which could explain why he's been portrayed so weakly and hasn't won a match since the start of December, despite the pay-per-view gaining 260,000 buys, which is an estimate at the moment. But I think that's pretty damn good. 160,000 of which were national, so only 100,000 extra from overseas. It didn't gain the amount WWE expected it to get. Of course, knowing The Rock was there, they expected it to go over 300,000 to be a great big seller, and it wasn't to be. Along with The Miz getting lower buy rates earlier in the year as a headliner, over the limit especially, in comparison with Cena and even R-Truth, because R-Truth Capital Punishment grossed higher, and it's obviously because of R-Truth's character. It's assumed this is a reason to punish The Miz for not being as affluent as a character in terms of a money bringer than the others could be. Heat has also been put on The Miz even more after the fall R-Truth took on Raw this past Monday. After, well, Miz being blamed that he wasn't in a position to absorb the impact of the fall. Now, I will say this off the bat, everybody. It's stupid for WWE to blame a guy for low pay-per-view income. Because when the fuck has that ever happened? I've never seen this. As a person in doing these videos, I'm a wrestling fan following this crap. I have never seen that happen. Now, I bet some of you who are way more in tune obviously could tell me. There is a comment section. But honestly, I do not understand how WWE say, oh, R-Truth got suspended already. Cena's the good guy. Rock's a part-time performer who's guaranteed to bring in the money. So therefore, we have to blame Miz for this? What the fuck? I honestly do not see the point. And, okay, blaming Miz for not being in the position, you can blame him for that. He wasn't in the position to absorb that, really. And Truth could have hurt himself quite badly. He is quite old, we have to remember. And I don't know. I just think at the moment, Miz being in the doghouse is not a good thing. Because he's one of the big main event guys. You've spent the last couple of years building the guy, only to then, after he becomes champion, kind of lose track with where he wants to go. And that's happened to quite a few people in the past. Del Rio, especially. Although he's kept in the title picture, he didn't do too much else. So, you can see where that leads. And even Jack Swagger, I'd say. Because he was champion. Where the fuck's he been since? Oh, yeah, US champion. That's about it. CM Punk is having a DVD made about his career. And he's having a very hands-on approach about the project. Punk is involved in many aspects of the DVD coming to fruition by picking the matches and the wrestlers being interviewed. Punk sent an email to WWE employees concerning the product that he doesn't want the conventional style narrator who talks over the footage and refuses to have what he calls crappy bands like Switchfoot being on his DVD. Punk wants to be able to choose the music that he is a fan of and friends with, and bands that he's friends with, to make it a more personal representation of him. Now, I am 100% happy with that, because it's his DVD. I'll say this to every single superstar out there. If it's your DVD, you want to make it something. Because apparently Punk's been criticising WWE, saying that on the Randy Orton DVD, on the John Morrison DVD, all these other DVDs they've put out, the music hasn't been very good. And I've seen bits of these DVDs online. They aren't very good at all. So why Punk's music taste is quite ridiculous. Of course, most of it is hardcore punk. Could go to something else. It's something WWE fans wouldn't normally expect on a DVD release. So that means you get a big punch in the mouth musically. And that's great, isn't it? New music for the younger fans to discover, even though their parents won't like it. I can sense it. On the notion of narrators, I agree, because when watching the Undertaker Tombstone DVD back in 2005, I couldn't help myself but wonder, this narrator, why? I didn't even need to have a narrator in it. You could just have a guy doing the job. And most WWE biography DVDs, the narrator is complete shit. Just have the guy narrating over it. If Punk wants to narrate it himself, I'm gonna clap it. Because if Punk wants to narrate this story, his career story himself, then tip off to him. You should. He's the guy in the DVD. He should have creative control over what's on it. So I would buy that. After I see what's on the DVD, I will buy it. Because I am a Punk fan, I will check it out. But I'm not sure it could be the best buy in the world. I'd wait and see, eh? TNA and former WCW wrestler Sting has revealed to Kiss FM, I believe that is the UK radio station, that he almost signed with WWE, not just once, but on many different occasions in the last couple of years. The host asked him if he'd ever regretted never going to WWE, which got this response. Yes and no. Who wouldn't want to say that they've done at least one WrestleMania? I'm not going to lie to you, I wish I had done one of those. And I tell you now, even I would. Listen, I would do anything. I've had great conversations with Vince over the years, and I've been real close on 3 or 4 different occasions. There was always a need to be met or a desire of money with WCW or TNA, so I stayed with them. As well as, he also managed to also say, as well as, well, I'm getting confused here. Yeah, that's the end of that first quotation. As well as saying that he almost jumped to WWE in the last year, saying that, he said this, we were very, very close to signing. And it definitely was, because you could tell we were on the edge of it. Sting also revealed that he'd love to face Undertaker as well, saying, "I think between his gimmick and mine, it could be pretty cool. We could do some pretty cool stuff." And you know what? Even though I have never truly been a fan of Sting, I do respect the guy. I just feel his gimmick is extremely stale, even though with the Joker crap he's managed to make it quite entertaining. I don't watch TNA, but I know from what I've seen of that gimmick, it looks pretty fucking hysterical. Well, it's obviously he's back to him now, isn't he? Just Sting. I think he's a bit overrated, but I would love to see him come to the WWE, what impact he'd make. Last major WCW star really to go there. It would be something, a sight to behold, really. WCW's one of its biggest names, and WWE's biggest name, practically hands down now. It would be something epic. Sting Undertaker at WrestleMania this year for the final match? Who wouldn't want that? TNA have already said, okay, Ric Flair, you can go over and do some stuff with the Hall of Fame. I would kill to see Sting Undertaker, and to be honest, I'm thinking if Triple H is going to do it one more time, then I would think maybe make the streak continue every single year. Wait until you get to a point where Sting could come back and do it. Because I don't care. I don't want Triple H to be the last guy. Bring Sting from TNA for this one opportunity. Because I want to see it. Everyone else want to see it. And if he's actually become close to signing 4 times, then bring him in. Simple. Bring the guy in if you can. If he retires from going to TNA, you could use that and go, okay, Sting, you may have retired, but we can at least bring you back for one swan song that you know you want. Eh? Because everybody will want to see it, and I bet it'll be something fantastic. Former Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion Chris Hero has now finally signed a developmental contract with WWE after the high testosterone issue that was keeping him from signing was cleared up. He is now able to join his partner, Claudio Castagnoli, better known in FCW as Antonio Cesaro, in the developmental territory down there in the South. This is great news, because now the Kings of Wrestling can finally be a team in there. I mean, sure, they're good enough to be singles wrestlers on their own, but I feel if knowing WWE and knowing Triple H, I say if they're the one team that can now rejuvenate the division after Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston's dramatic fall from grace, thanks to going airborne and going too close to the sun, and probably a bit of proverbial weed as well, it all works out. I think that would be fantastic. Kings of Wrestling coming in and just basically tearing up the place. The re-emergence for tag teams definitely could be on the cards then with those guys. Abdullah the Butcher, amazing story this in my opinion, is that he decided to get, Abdullah the Butcher, WWE Hall of Famer, hardcore legend, decided to give away his Hall of Fame ring to his brother right after he received it. Yeah, those are the eyes I've got, the eyes you probably have. All because he believes the WWE took too long to induct him. Abdullah said, I took my ring, my Hall of Fame ring, when they put it in my hand and gave it to my brother. I wouldn't wear it. I wouldn't wear it. 51 years Abdullah the Butcher has been in the business and drew people from all over the world, and they're going to hand me a ring 51 years later? And that's where the quotation ends, guys. Listen, mate, it's taken forever to get Randy Savage into the Hall of Fame for a multitude of reasons. It's taken forever to get Jake the Snake Roberts in the Hall of Fame for numerous reasons. It's never going to happen, but Chris Benoit has never been in the Hall of Fame, and probably will never be in the Hall of Fame, for the reasons we already know. So, and you know what, they have had reasons. I mean, Jake the Snake's obviously had a few personal issues, which have kept him from doing it. Benoit, we already know, I've just said, and Macho Man, the quabble with McMahon has always been there, but obviously now he's dead, there is a plausibility. Abdullah, the phone call comes around when they believe it's the right time. When they need a big name inductee, you're obviously going to be in there. I think it's actually, to be honest, awful. You say, oh, 51 years later? It makes it sound like you deserved it from the moment you stepped in the fucking ring. The fact is, I know you've been very influential and the Sheik went in before you. That's probably tearing you up a little bit, knowing that the Sheik went in before you did. Then again, you both were pioneers. The one thing is, you at least can be happy that the WWE at least had the decency to do it. You know? You can at least be happy that they managed to put you in the Hall of Fame, especially in a PG time, where your actions, what you did in the ring with the fork and whatever you did in the territories, can't even technically be shown on WWE television. You should be at least pretty grateful that even in a PG time, they are going to put you in the Hall of Fame. Because honestly, Lex Luger wants to be in the Hall of Fame, even though WWE snubbed him this year. You know what? I'd rather swap you out, and put him in the Hall of Fame. Because you can't be so ungrateful, Abdullah. I mean, I've been positively supporting you against Devin Hannibal Nicholson over the past year, because the guy's a dick. But I don't understand why you would be so bitter over WWE giving you a Hall of Fame ring late. I know you should have been given it earlier, probably. But then again, you were still wrestling until 2009. 2010 even. So they had to wait till you retired to give you that thing. And you should be a lot more grateful. Because anyone in your position would have taken that with immense pride and honour. And they would have worn that ring with pride, damn it. Oh, seriously, Abdullah Butcher, sometimes you really do get on my nerves for many, many reasons. The choice of Sheamus being the 2012 Royal Rumble winner was down to one man. Triple H, of course. And I bet a lot of you are saying that's not a news story. What is a news story is, of course, the people who could have been ran through instead. St. Louis hometown boy Randy Orton was up for it. We obviously know why. Chris Jericho was also considered, based on his performance, to set up the Punk feud really well. And even John Cena was included as a possible winner. To set up and this is interesting, to set up a choice between the WWE Championship and The Rock at WrestleMania. That I would have paid money to see. They were all considered, but it was the ever more influential game that had the right final decision on Sheamus becoming the Royal Rumble winner for 2012. Now, you obviously know, guys, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with it. Sheamus is a decent guy. Needs the exposure, and to take himself really far up into the upper main event level, where he technically should be. The only thing, however, I would love to have seen the John Cena situation. WWE Championship or Rock. Would he give it to the guy who... Would he have given it to the Rumble win and the WWE Championship match to the guy who came runner-up in the Rumble? That would have been really intriguing. It would have been something different. I mean, obviously, he would have... Actually, that would have made it more likely for The Rock to appear on television to goad him into picking him over the champion. And that would have been something fun. I would have loved to have seen that. Orton as Rumble winner is too predictable. I would have hated it, and basically, he should still be on the injured list. He should still be taking time off. If it's a herniated disc in his back or some kind of back issue, then he should have just bloody left it. I mean, you saw what Shawn Michaels did. He healed his, and look what happened to him. And then when it comes to Jericho, I would have liked that. I predicted it. Simple. Speaking of Sheamus, he's revealed in an interview with Sky Sports that he will announce which champion he wants to face at WrestleMania, and that'll be after Elimination Chamber. Sheamus admitted also how upsetting it was to be left off off the Mania card last year when his match with Daniel Bryan was bumped to the dark match, saying, "I've had some incredible ups and incredible downs in such a short time. I remember being excited at the match with Daniel because we knew that we could tear it up and we could have a match like nobody else. We were young superstars ready to go out there and do what it takes. So when I found out it was going to be a dark match, it was definitely a real kick in the gut. This was the big moment that we worked hard all year for. We work hard anyway, but WrestleMania is the moment to go out there and become legends, or try to become legends. When we were told, it was a huge disappointment to us. And you know what? That's divine retribution. It's divine retribution when Sheamus gets the chance to do it, to basically say, look, I was dark match last year, now I'm in the main event. And I think if Daniel Bryan is in the main event with him, that will definitely show that they made the wrong choice. Because I could have put the 6-man tag with Santino and Kofi, Kane and Big Show against the Core in there. That could have been the dark match, and it could have easily transcended into a battle royal far quicker. but then the core needed some placing on the card. You know, it seems that that match could have easily taken up a lot of time, and it could have easily become a great match. But WWE are who they are. They obviously want to make stupid shit like that. I don't know. I just think it's great that Sheamus is there, back at the top, and Daniel Bryan looks to be joining up there with him. So let's hope. Let's hope, people. Zack Ryder, in an interview with the UK tabloid The Daily Star, said that his ideal opponent for a match at WrestleMania would be the US champion Jack Swagger. Ryder mentioned that he would feel that the match would bring prestige back to the title. Ryder said that Dolph Ziggler put prestige back into the title, and it meant big when he won it. Ryder also said that his goal by the end of the year was to be in the contention for a top title, saying, "In January 2011, I was a nobody on Raw at best. By the end of 2011, I was the US champion. By December 2012, I want to be wrestling for the World Heavyweight Championship." Now, hold on. Let me get this straight, Zach. You want to go to WrestleMania? I know this is storyline here, but you have a broken back in storyline, okay? Now, this means you cannot go to WrestleMania. And I know you're going to do some freak recovery or something like that. And I hate it when WWE does that. I hate it that basically if you don't like this, that you know it's a broken back and he's going to come back in a month, in about later this month or something, and a build up with a WrestleMania match. I don't know, probably against Kane. The fact is, you can look back on Chyna, her broken neck in the lead up to WrestleMania X7. Between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania X7, that was what the entire Divas division surrounded around, with Right to Censor and Ivory. That was complete bull. Because you can't go from a broken neck to wrestling in only 2 months. Or at least a month. Because she had the broken neck at the Rumble, I think. And then she had the broken neck at the Rumble. She then went on to fight at No Way Out. To then fight at WrestleMania. With a broken neck, you don't even do that. Kurt Angle took, let me see now, March, April, May, June. 4 months to return from his neck surgery. You can have a broken neck, and then it takes Edge a year or 14 months to get back. It's unbelievable, it's unrealistic, and just stupid. And I just don't understand why he's talking about WrestleMania 28 when he's got a storyline injury that can put him out for over a year, maybe more. Shawn Michaels was out for 4 years, and it's these kind of things that make WWE's sense of melodrama really makes me want to kick them. Because we're not stupid. Because if you know injuries, broken backs take a fucking ages to recover from. Technically, in the case of a broken back, you could almost be paralyzed. So I don't understand why WWE went down this route. And it's a stupid thing that Zack Ryder is in the newspapers talking about WrestleMania 28 when we know he probably won't even make it. He could have been technically killed if he had a broken back in real life, non-storyline, non-kayfabe terms. You know, it does my head in that this is now just for a press junket. He can surely speak whenever he wants, and he can talk about how he winning the US title was great and how Kane has ruined my career. But I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be willing and not get downhearted. I'm going to fight back and be stronger than ever when I finally return. That makes the build-up for Zack Ryder's return more epic, and people would actually listen to what he says. And this it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. And it makes this entire thing seem pointless. Some guys I've been talking to online agree. The minute they say broken back, you knew they were just going over the top. Because honestly, going through that stage, going through the stage, you want to see how bad it really is? Go check out the Great American Bash 2005 DVD. You know why? Because if you look at the fall that Muhammad Hassan took, he was bleeding at the back of the head. It was that bad. Or was that Kurt Angle falling from somewhere? It was one or the other. One of the either. No, Kurt Angle fell from ridiculously high up. That was in 2004. But you see what I mean? A fall from the stage can do more, because the stage actually isn't that deep anymore. So the saying, you probably would have gotten a few bruises, but nothing more. So effectively, I've just proven Storyline injury, complete bollocks. Anyway, I've got to get on with more news stories here. I've completely missed one. JR said through his latest blog, well, latest as in last week, because he put a new one out. He said that he's had a go at fans who believe Daniel Bryan is an inadequate World Heavyweight Champion. JR said that those informed fans that feel Daniel Bryan is inadequate as a world champion in WWE have more than likely never had their ass whipped by a smaller guy. I can say this, on college campuses around the country and where amateur wrestling exists, the football players usually want nothing to do with the wrestlers, especially the smaller wrestlers who carry enhanced chips on their shoulders. And you know what? I kind of agree. Because Rey Mysterio is an unconvincing world champion because he's a fucking cruiserweight. I know, sure, I'm not sagging against cruiserweights who could be world champion, because Eddie Guerrero is a light heavyweight, not a cruiserweight. Daniel Bryan falls into a similar category. Is he a light heavyweight? Is he a cruiserweight? He may look like a definition of what would be an underdog champion, but we know, I don't think he's inadequate because his in-ring ability means he's a capable wrestler. He's not, and then it fits well with it. JR is speaking the absolute truth. And to be honest, if you people think Daniel Bryan's inadequate, try getting put in the label lock and see how it feels. Because it wouldn't be nice. It's like people who always said Chris Benoit is an inadequate world champion. Crippler Crossface. Basically, him and Bryan and Benoit fold in the same thing. They may look like inadequate world champions and may compose themselves like inadequate world champions, but when it comes to in-ring ability, they are the shit. They are the absolute shit. They are the people you should be looking out for. Because hell, doesn't matter how big you are, because if you have the ability to kick someone's ass and do it well to win accolades for it, you effectively know no one should ever mess with you. So therefore, JR, you are absolutely spot on. This is actually quite a shocking news story, because I never really expected it. The Rock has praised TNA champion Bobby Roode on Twitter. Now, I bet WWE were going a bit crazy on this one. The 7-time WWE champion said, "I dig your work. Keep moving that crowd and kicking that ass." The Rock also funnily stated, "Tell Bubba that his calves are still not as big as mine." Now, I don't know what that sentence meant, so anyone get any inkling what that is? Comment section. I honestly think WWE must have been going mental when they found out that, possibly through Twitter, that Rock had done this. Because when have you ever seen... Okay, you've seen a few guys, like Stone Cold praising Samoa Joe. And you think, why would they do that if they're so closely affiliated? Beats me, but Bobby Roode, I don't watch you on TNA much, but you have done some good stuff. Then again, actually, to be honest, you watch through an episode of Impact, you don't actually get to see much wrestling. Damn Promo City! See, okay, I'm going to get this off my chest quickly before I get to the... Actually, no, wait, fuck it. I'll get to the last story, then I'll go off on my little tangent. Chris Jericho posted a message on Twitter in which he criticised critics to his latest return and how it's unfolded so far. Y2J stated, "Funny how some of you never stop complaining and think you know it all. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. You'll have a lot more fun." And that is 100% true. Because I criticise people for being extremely negative, right? And you can tell based on this video and probably a few others, I'm quite negative. But then again, in the news video, I'm putting out my blunt opinion on the news story. I don't have to sugarcoat it and divide the argument in between like I do on my other videos. And I feel that we should just stop taking ourselves so seriously, because I do that and I'm alright. The fact, to be honest, the storyline news article of John Laurinaitis not being fired, I looked on Twitter and Facebook, and there was so much negativity saying, "Oh, this guy sucks, get rid of him." And I know the positives of Laurinaitis as GM. I've mentioned them before in a Q&A. And people just don't see it. And the one person, this one thing, saying the WWE is dying a premature death. It's on life support now. You can't call yourself a true wrestling fan, because if you love wrestling enough, You would obviously do what Mark P's doing, watching some independents in your home country. You would also watch the product through thick and fucking thin, like Mark P did, even though he only watched one pay-per-view in 1995, he still ended up persevering through when the product started getting a tiny bit better for his own needs. The programming isn't as good as it was for me like it was 10 years ago, but I'm still here. And to be honest, guys, it gets on my nerves. And I will say now that my next wrestling round, which is this upcoming Sunday, right? It's 10 reasons why I'm still a wrestling fan, okay? And hopefully I want to silence some of this negativity by showing you guys why I am still a wrestling fan. And that's what it's going to be about. And to also quote the notion that TNA does one thing worse than WWE, the negativity about how Raw this week was too much mic work, too much promo work. You know what? That may have been one episode of Raw, but for the past couple of TNA Impacts I've seen, they've all had way too much promo and vignette material, the majority of which is so poorly shot and poorly done that I can say there's a reason why I don't watch TNA. So people who watch WWE, consider yourself lucky you're not watching TNA. Guys, I'm going to end it there. I hope you've enjoyed this in the news bulletin. I hope you're here for the next video I'll do, which will be, like I've already said, 10 reasons why I'm still a wrestling fan. That should be fun, because honestly, it took me a while to figure out these, and I hope you all take notice, because this should hopefully make you understand why I am still devoted to this product long after it supposedly was great. Because to be honest, it still is great when you find the right thing. And to be honest, if you support the right wrestler or find the positives, you will support the product, you know? Just some people who are so negative, they probably just poop out coal because they've swallowed all the diamonds that don't really follow through, and then the minute it goes bad, they just don't give a shit until it comes out. That's probably a bit disgusting, but I'm a bit tired. I was at my uni interview in Falmouth yesterday. I've had a very long couple of days, going from Colchester to Falmouth and back again in the space of 2 days. So that probably may explain also why I'm a bit in explaining things today. I'm a bit more blunt than usual, but it's what you guys come to expect from me. I've been Cream Crazy. You've been people watching. This has been the 14th in the news bulletin, and I will see you on Sunday. Cheers.